In Lu Huizua's eyes, Lin Yanyan's life was worth far more than hers. Resolved, Tang Su pressed the knife closer to Lin Yanyan's chest. Just a little more pressure, and the blade would break the skin. Lin Yanyan screamed hysterically, "Huizua, save me. My sister has gone mad, she wants to kill me." At the sound of her shriek, Lu Huizua finally descended from upstairs. When he saw Tang Su, his already cold and stern face turned even frostier, as if covered in blades of ice. "Tang Su, let Yanyan go. Huizua, I need 10 million. If you don't give me the money, I'll kill Lin Yanyan right now," Tang Su said, increasing the pressure slightly. Blood instantly welled up on Lin Yanyan's skin. Lin Yanyan's face turned deathly pale, feigning terror. Even now, she couldn't stop performing. Tears filled her eyes, glistening with pitiful innocence. "Sister, why are you doing this to me? I know you hate me for taking Huizua away, but you were the one who gave him up first. What did I do wrong that you keep hurting me, even trying to kill me?" "Stop pretending, Lin Yanyan." Tang Su was utterly disgusted by her hypocrisy and snapped, always playing the sweet, innocent victim. "Don't you ever feel sickened by your own wickedness?" Having said that, Tang Su no longer bothered with Lin Yanyan. She lifted her head and looked at Lu Huizua, struggling to hold back her tears. "Huizua, 10 million or Lin Yanyan's life. You can only choose one." Truthfully, Tang Su didn't want to threaten him like this. What she really wanted to say was, "Huizua, please save our Xiaoshen. He's truly your flesh and blood. If you don't save him, you'll regret it for the rest of your life." But deep down, she knew he wouldn't believe her. So she had no choice but to resort to this most extreme method to get the money. "Huizua, it hurts so much." Lin Yanyan winced, looking frail and delicate like Lin Dayu. Lu Huizua's gaze toward Tang Su turned even colder. He commanded, each word sharp and deliberate. "Tang Su, let Yanyan go. I already told you, I want 10 million otherwise." Clang! The knife in Tang Su's hand was violently kicked away. As it flew through the air, it grazed her wrist. The wound wasn't deep, but it still drew blood, a stark, vivid red that looked strangely tragic. Tang Su lowered her head. Her movements were stiff, painfully slow, like a scene in slow motion. When she saw the blood on her wrist, she suddenly laughed bitterly. So this was how it ended. "Huizua, how did we end up like this?" "Yanyan, are you okay?" Lu Huizua pulled Lin Yanyan tightly into his arms, holding her with such tenderness Tang Su hadn't felt in years. "Huizua, I'm so scared. Sister was terrifying just now." Lin Yanyan trembled violently, shrinking deeper into Lu Huizua's embrace. "Huizua, I'm afraid." "Don't be afraid, Yanyan. Don't be afraid, Yanyan. I've told you, I won't let anyone hurt you." When he looked at Lin Yanyan, his eyes softened with affection. But when he turned to Tang Su, they held only ruthless, bloodthirsty coldness. "Tang Su." Each syllable was ground out between clenched teeth, as if Tang Su were his mortal enemy. "Tang Su, you deserve to die." Tang Su's scattered consciousness slowly returned. She raised her head. Her tears hadn't fallen, but her expression was still filled with despair. "Huizua, take my life. Just lend me the money to save Xiaoshen, please." Her stomach began to ache again, cramping violently. Her body swayed unsteadily, nearly collapsing to the ground. Frantically, she fumbled in her pocket and dumped 4 or 5 painkillers into her palm, swallowing them with difficulty. The medicine brought little relief. Her hands continued to tremble uncontrollably. Shaking, she picked up the fruit knife from the floor and held it out to Lu Huizua. "Huizua, isn't this what you want? Here's the knife. Do whatever you want to me. I'm begging you, just save Xiaoshen." Lu Huizua's gaze locked onto the pocket where Tang Su had just put the pills. What kind of medication was this dead woman taking? Why did she look so weak? No, this must be another one of her tricks. Pretending to be ill, pretending to be pitiful. Lu Huizua snapped back to reality. The slight softening in his heart vanished instantly, hardening once more like iron. He sneered at Tang Su. "Tang Su, I'd rather not soil my hands with your life. Get out. I told you never to appear before me again. Otherwise, I won't wait for any kidnappers. I'll send you and that bastard child straight to hell myself." With those words, Lu Huizua gave a subtle nod to the obedient butler standing nearby. The butler understood immediately, summoning several servants who grabbed Tang Su and threw her out of the villa. It was freezing outside, snow blanketing the ground. Tang Su collapsed onto the thick layer of snow. Her consciousness began to blur, but thinking of Xiaoshen waiting for her, she dared not close her eyes. Before she could even rise, a mouthful of blood erupted from her lips. Before, when she coughed up blood, it would stop after a few spurts. But this time, it kept coming, already several mouthfuls, yet fresh red blood continued seeping from the corners of her mouth. Gritting her teeth, she dragged herself up from the snow. In mere moments, her clothes were splattered with large patches of blood. Oblivious to it all, she moved forward stiffly, step by step. The world stretched endlessly, vast and boundless, yet in this moment, she had no idea where to go. After walking a short distance, Tang Su suddenly crouched halfway to the ground. Unable to hold back any longer, she covered her face and sobbed quietly. What should she do? How could she possibly save her Xiaoshun? Long after Tang Su had been carried out by the servants, Lu Huizua's gaze remained fixed on the living room door. That she would come to him begging for money, it was laughable. Hadn't she already latched onto Lin Yichen? Why come crawling back to him? A promiscuous, vain woman. So desperate for money she'd use every trick in the book, sparing no man. So lost in his thoughts was he that he didn't even notice Lin Nianyan's lips nearly touching his face until her soft whisper, Huizua, snapped him back to reality. Huizua, can I stay tonight? Lin Nianyan gently wrapped her arms around his neck, her breath warm and sweet. Huizua, can I stay tonight? Lin Nianyan gently wrapped her arms around his neck, her breath warm and sweet. Huizua, I've missed you. Huizua, I am your woman. Men like beautiful women and want to spend a passionate night with them. Similarly, women also like handsome men, especially men like Lu Huizua, whose breathtaking looks make countless women covet his perfect body. Lin Nianyan is one of those women. She longs for Lu Huizua to spare her even a single glance, and desires more than anything to become truly his embody. Nianyan, I'll have someone send you home, Lu Huizua said coolly, subtly pushing Lin Nianyan away as he pulled out his phone and summoned the villa's butler who had just retreated moments earlier. Hearing this, Lin Nianyan was so furious she could have ground her teeth to dust. Tonight, she had dressed herself so provocatively, how could he still remain completely unaffected? Was it really destined that, for the rest of her life, their relationship would never go beyond an embrace? No. She refused to be such a pitiful woman. With that thought, Lin Nianyan steeled her heart and tightly wrapped her arms around Lu Huizua from behind. Huizua, I'm not leaving. I am your woman. I am your woman. We should live together. Nianyan, behave yourself. Without giving her any chance to protest, Lu Huizua grabbed the coat from the sofa and draped it over her shoulders. Get some rest. With those words, he turned coldly and walked upstairs. Lin Nianyan stomped her foot in anger, yet her carefully maintained image of gentleness and grace couldn't afford to break. When the villa's butler approached, she quickly forced a sweet, polite smile onto her face. It's so late, and I'm troubling you again. Thank you so much. Tang Su hadn't slept all night. She kept thinking about how she could get 1 million yuan in such a short time. She'd even considered borrowing from loan sharks, but she didn't dare. If she died, she wouldn't have to worry anymore, but Xiaoshun would still have to live on. If the loan sharks came after Xiaoshun, her child's entire life would be ruined. If Jing Mo hadn't lost his memory, Jing Mo had always been so kind to her and Xiaoshun. Now that he was wealthy, if only he remembered, he wouldn't hesitate even for 1 billion yuan to save Xiaoshun. But unfortunately, there were no ifs in this world. The Jing Mo who had once stood by her through life and death was no longer the same man he used to be. The Jing Mo who had once stood by her through life and death was no longer the same man he used to be. The last time she went to him for money, the price she paid was one of her little fingers. Tang Su instinctively hugged her left hand. Even now, the spot where her finger had been severed throbbed with pain from time to time. How could such agony ever be inflicted upon her beloved Xiaoshun? If eventually both hands and feet were cut off, her child's life would be utterly destroyed. A sudden, urgent knock at the door snapped her out of her thoughts. Numbly, Tang Su walked to the entrance and peered through the peephole. It was Qin Mayan. The moment Qin Mayan stepped inside, she pulled out a thick stack of cash from her coat and shoved it into Tang Su's hands. Susu, here's 20,000 yuan. Take it first. I'll keep working hard to earn more. We will definitely raise enough money for Xiaoshun's surgery. Tang Su clutched the money tightly, tears welling up uncontrollably. At that moment, she desperately wanted to burst into tears and hug Qin Mayan, telling her the truth, that she already had 100,000 yuan, enough to cover Xiaoshun's surgery. But Xiaoshun had been kidnapped. The kidnappers demanded 10 million yuan, or they would brutally harm Xiaoshun and ultimately kill him. But Tang Su couldn't bring herself to say any of that. Qin Mayan's life wasn't any easier than hers. If she told Qin Mayan the truth, her friend would surely do something reckless, like going to borrow money from Bo Qing. If she told Qin Mayan the truth, her friend would surely do something reckless, like going to borrow money from Bo Qing. Not only would she likely fail to get the money, but Bo Qing might crush what little dignity she had left into dust. And returning to Shin Qi's side meant facing that twisted demon and his malicious mother, suffering torment worse than death. She couldn't bear to see Qin Mayan suffer for her sake. Xiaoyan, don't bring me money anymore. I've already raised enough for Xiaoshun's surgery. Just take good care of yourself. Tang Su didn't refuse the 20,000 yuan or insist Qin Mayan take it back. Right now, she desperately needed every penny. Right now, She desperately needed every penny. But from now on, she wouldn't allow Qin Mayan to endure such hardship for her. Shen Qi and his mother were like blood-sucking vampires, exploiting Qin Mayan's labor, forcing her to work endlessly to fund their extravagant lifestyle. That Qin Mayan managed to save even this small amount made Tang Su shudder to think what horrors she must have endured. "You've raised the money?" Qin Mayan asked, even more worried now. She gripped Tang Su's hands tightly. "Lu Huizhua, that bastard, didn't give you that much. How did you manage to get it? Susu, what exactly did you do?" Tang Su couldn't possibly tell Qin Mayan about her decision to donate her body after death. Instead, she deflected lightly, saying, "Xiao Yan, I met a very, very good man. He helped me. He felt a special connection with Xiao Shun, and when he heard about the illness, he insisted on paying for the treatment." "Really?" Qin Mayan still doubted Tang Su's words. She feared her friend might have done something foolish. "Really?" Tang Su nodded vigorously. Just as she was about to say more, she suddenly noticed red marks on Qin Mayan's wrist. She forcefully pushed up Qin Mayan's sleeve and saw horrifying wounds covering her arm, some deep gashes that looked like they'd been made by sharp porcelain, cutting down to the bone. If her arms were in such condition, her other body parts couldn't possibly be any better. "Xiao Yan, what happened? Was it that beast Shen Qi?" Panicked, Qin Mayan quickly pulled her sleeve back down and hid her arm behind her back, her eyes darting away nervously. "Susu, don't worry. I'm fine. I just fell accidentally and hit some glass shards." She glanced at her watch. "I have to go to work soon. I should head back now." With that, Qin Mayan hurried toward the door of the small apartment. Tang Su knew there were things Qin Mayan wouldn't talk about. Even if she asked, she wouldn't get answers. But her heart ached for her friend, trapped in darkness, unable to reach the light even when it seemed within grasp. After Qin Mayan left, Tang Su followed downstairs. She wanted to see her off. In the future, she might not even have the chance to watch her best friend walk away. Life was short. In the fleeting time she had left, she wanted to look at her dearest friend just a little longer, even if it was only her retreating back. Tang Su assumed that after going downstairs, Qin Mayan would walk back to Shen Qi's place as usual. But instead, she saw Gao Fenglan, Shen Qi's mother, waiting below. Gao Fenglan radiated sharp fury. The moment she spotted Qin Mayan, she rushed forward and slapped her hard across the face. "Bitch! I knew it! You sneak out late at night to cheat on my son. Tell me, is this where you're meeting the father of that bastard child in your belly?" Gao Fenglan stood with hands on hips, looking every bit the vulgar, vicious harridan. Suddenly, she grabbed Qin Mayan's arm with demonic ferocity. "You won't tell me? Fine. I'll beat that evil spawn out of your stomach right now." Her eyes scanned the area until she spotted a wooden stick slightly thicker than a thumb. Snatching it up, she swung it fiercely toward Qin Mayan's abdomen. Tang Su sold herself. Tang Su was startled by Gao Fenglan's violent actions. She knew that Gao Fenglan and her son Shen Qi treated Qin Mayan poorly, but she never expected Gao Fenglan to be so viciously abusive toward Qin Mayan, grabbing whatever was at hand and striking her with it. How much suffering had Qin Mayan endured when no one was watching? Tang Su had heard what Gao Fenglan said just now. Rushing over to stop her was already too late. Fearing that Qin Mayan's unborn child might get hurt, Tang Su quickly rushed forward and shielded the pregnant belly, taking the blow meant for her friend. "Susu, are you okay?" Qin Mayan felt worse than if she'd been beaten herself. She anxiously supported Tang Su. "Susu, does it hurt? Let me take you to the hospital." "Get out of my way. I'm disciplining my daughter-in-law. Don't you dare interfere. If you keep sticking your nose in, I'll beat you too." Gao Fenglan stood with hands on hips like a teapot, spitting on the ground fiercely, acting as if she ruled the world. "Mayan came here tonight to see me. How dare you throw dirty water at her without cause?" Tang Su steadied herself and pushed Qin Mayan behind her, glaring coldly at Gao Fenglan. "Even if Mayan is your daughter-in-law, you have no right to treat her this way." "Pfft!" Gao Fenglan sneered at Qin Mayan with utter contempt. "A cheap slut who cheats on my son, I can treat her however I want. She won't even let my son touch her, yet she's carrying another man's child. Where does that leave my son's dignity? Since she has no shame and flirts around, she should pay the price. Come here." Tang Su instinctively grabbed Qin Mayan's hand, trying to stop her from going to Gao Fenglan, but Qin Mayan slowly pried her fingers away. She gently shook her head at Tang Su. "Susu, go home quickly. I can't abandon my grandmother." Tang Su didn't want Qin Mayan to return with Gao Fenglan and suffer. She knew the baby in Qin Mayan's womb was likely Bo Qing's. Qin Mayan loved Bo Qing deeply and would never want to lose his child. With Gao Fenglan being so vicious, unreasonable, and cruel, how could Qin Mayan possibly protect her unborn child if she went back? But Tang Su also couldn't selfishly sacrifice Qin Mayan's grandmother. "Mayan, Susu, don't worry. I'll take good care of myself." Qin Mayan suppressed the lump in her throat and whispered softly to Tang Su. You take care of yourself too. We both need to stay strong. Our road ahead is still long. With those words, Qin Mayan quickly walked toward Gao Fenglan. With those words, Qin Mayan quickly walked toward Gao Fenglan. Gao Fenglan grabbed her hair violently, shoved her forward, and dragged her away while cursing nonstop. Watching Qin Mayan being abused by that shrew, silent tears streamed down Tang Su's cheeks. They were truly so powerless, unable to control their own fates. They were pitiful ants in the vast red dust of the world, amidst dazzling luxuries, yet utterly helpless and at the mercy of others. Tang Su fiercely wiped the tears from her eyes. She wanted to take control of her destiny. She wanted to protect the people she cared about. She wanted those who had hurt her to finally pay the price. But where in life could she ever find such an opportunity? Thinking of Qin Mayan, thinking of Xiao Shun, Tang Su's heart ached as if being cut by a knife. Thinking of Qin Mayan, thinking of Xiao Shun, Tang Su's heart ached as if being cut by a knife. As she racked her brain trying to figure out how to raise money, something important suddenly came to mind. Earlier, while chatting with someone on set, she had heard a male extra mention a famous pleasure den in Haiqing called Yangchun by Shui. Though the name sounded elegant and refined, the activities inside were far from noble. It was a paradise for wealthy men, where many would spend fortunes just to see a beauty smile. The most famous event there was the nightly auction. Yangchun by Shui didn't auction valuable objects, it auctioned a woman's first dance. It was politely called a first dance, but everyone knew the truth. It was essentially matching rich men with mistresses. Men paid exorbitant amounts not just to dance, but for full possession. That night, the woman whose first dance was auctioned off would go with the man who bought her and become his long-term mistress. Tang Su sat quietly before her dressing table, gazing at the woman in the mirror. This face, truly beautiful. She had looked at it in the mirror for years, and each time, she was still struck by its beauty. Even now, when she was gravely ill, emaciated and pale, without any makeup, her face still held a breathtaking allure. In truth, fate was fair. Some people lacked beauty but lived happy lives. Heaven had given her a face everyone envied, but also a lifetime of pain and hardship. If she could choose, she would rather have an ordinary face than endure so much sorrow and helplessness. Still, she had to admit, this face did have its uses. For instance, at Yangchun by Shui. She had heard from that extra that a girl once auctioned her first dance at Yangchun by Shui for 800 million. Tang Su had seen that girl's photo. Even heavily photoshopped, she couldn't compare to Tang Su's stunning beauty. But Tang Su had always refused to take this path. Even after Herzwa abandoned her, she wanted to leave this world cleanly. Now, though, she had nowhere else to turn. She would have to leave it stained. There was one crucial requirement for women auctioned at the first dance. Rich men craved novelty. They wanted their expensive mistresses to be fresh, untouched. Tang Su had been with men before, had even given birth. Technically, she didn't qualify. But living in this modern age of advanced medicine and technology had its perks. Falseness could be made real. Suppressing the wave of humiliation in her heart, Tang Su took several painkillers and went to the hospital for a minor reconstructive procedure. After the surgery, the doctor warned her repeatedly, absolutely no sexual activity for a month. Tang Su nodded, her heart filled with desolation. After the surgery, the doctor warned her repeatedly, absolutely no sexual activity for a month. Tang Su nodded, her heart filled with desolation. She had undergone this surgery precisely to earn money tonight. She wondered what greasy, repulsive old man would end up bidding for her. Imagining some balding, pot-bellied, sausage-lipped old man winning her bid, Tang Su found it absurdly funny. She laughed, then almost cried. After tonight, all the things Lu Huizhua once said about her would come true. She, Tang Su, would be labeled promiscuous, sleeping with anyone. She, Tang Su, would truly be dirty. She, Tang Su, would truly be dirty. In the afternoon, Tang Su arrived at Yangchun by Shui. The manager was frustrated. The women lined up for tonight's first dance auction weren't impressive enough. When he saw Tang Su, it was as if the whole world lit up. Immediately, he summoned the styling team to do her makeup and pick a gown, determined to make her the most dazzling star at tonight's ball. As Tang Su was led upstairs to be made up, she suddenly saw Lu Huizhua. He was nothing to Tang Su, a fleeting moment of madness. The man in the hall had already been swallowed by the sea of people, his figure lost forever. Tang Su laughed bitterly. She must have been hallucinating. Lu Huizhua would definitely be busy with Lin Nianyan tonight, strolling under the moon in flowers, wrapped in sweet romance. There was no way he'd come to a place like this. And honestly, it was better that he didn't. Even though he was the one who had hurt her so deeply, she still didn't want to show him this broken, pitiful side of herself. She really was laughable, wasn't she? Tonight, including Tang Su, 6 women had bid for the privilege of dancing first at the auction. Before the bidding began, each woman had to perform a short dance. The manager was a classic beauty worshipper, and with Tang Su's breathtaking looks, she naturally saved her for last, the grand finale. Dancing used to be the simplest thing for Tang Su. Dancing used to be the simplest thing for Tang Su. But recently, her body had deteriorated so badly that she worried it wouldn't hold up. So while getting made up, she sat quietly at the vanity, eyes closed, letting the makeup artist do her work. The artist kept marveling at Tang Su's beauty. This was the first time she'd ever applied makeup to such a stunning girl, and she was thrilled beyond words. Yet beneath her excitement, there was an unspoken sorrow. Such a beautiful girl, yet she had ended up on the most degrading path, selling herself at auction, becoming a mistress for some rich man. Such a beautiful girl, yet she had ended up on the most degrading path, selling herself at auction, becoming a mistress for some rich man. If she was lucky, she might land a decent man. If not, she'd spend the rest of her life trapped with some repulsive old man. Tang Su specialized in classical dance. Knowing this, the manager had arranged a vintage-style gown for her. When Tang Su saw the dress, she realized the manager must have spared no expense. When Tang Su saw the dress, she realized the manager must have spared no expense. It was a white flowing silk gown with wide sleeves, the waist accented by a vertical line of rubies. The pure white contrasted with a sensual red, creating an aura of innocence intertwined with quiet allure. The rubies set into the forehead ornament, necklace, and anklet were real. Dressed like this, she looked like a fairy who had just descended from heaven. A face capable of toppling kingdoms, yet carrying the naivety of someone untouched by the world. A face capable of toppling kingdoms, yet carrying the naivety of someone untouched by the world. Every glance, every smile radiated a natural, effortless charm. Innocent yet seductive, a combination that drove men wild. As 10 o'clock approached, it was finally Tang Su's turn to take the stage. It was said that among the first 5 girls, the highest bid for a first dance had reached 50 million. But the foreign businessman who bought that dance was over 70, fat, bloated, vulgar in speech. But the foreign businessman who bought that dance was over 70, fat, bloated, vulgar in speech. It was unclear whether the girl was fortunate or utterly cursed. As Tang Su stepped out of the dressing room, she caught sight of the foreigner holding the young girl close as they danced. Dancing, if you could even call it that, the man merely shuffled awkwardly. His massive body was incapable of any graceful movement. The girl in his arms kept a smile plastered on her lips, but the bitterness in her eyes was impossible to hide. The girl in his arms kept a smile plastered on her lips, but the bitterness in her eyes was impossible to hide. Every woman in the world dreamed of a beautiful, radiant love. Only when truly cornered, with no other options, would anyone end up in a place like Yangshan by Shui, handing over their future to some unknown stranger, becoming a hidden mistress living in shame. Tang Su felt a deep ache in her heart, for that helpless girl and for herself. To maintain mystery, the stylist placed a white veil over Tang Su's face before she went on stage. The veil was almost transparent. Even with it on, her features remained faintly visible. The veil was almost transparent. Even with it on, her features remained faintly visible. Her eyes were especially captivating, slightly almond-shaped, yet with a hint of peach blossom charm, surpassing both in beauty. The subtle upward tilt of her outer eyes exuded an undeniable allure, silent yet powerful. Just from those eyes alone, one could imagine how breathtakingly beautiful she was. And now, beneath the sheer veil, her exquisite silhouette only heightened the madness consuming countless men tonight. Wow, so beautiful! Wow, so beautiful! Tori, the man sitting beside Lu Huizhua, couldn't suppress his awe. He nudged the icy, detached Lu Huizhua next to him, excitedly speaking in broken Chinese. Lu, your Chinese girls are truly incredible. So beautiful they make me lose my mind. Lu Huizhua gave a distracted hum, not even lifting his head. He hated places like this more than anything. If it weren't for his close friend from overseas study days visiting China and insisting on coming to see the famed Yangshan by Shui, he would never have set foot here. Unfazed by Lu Huizhua's indifference, Tori continued staring at Tang Su on stage, utterly entranced. The music began, classical, tender, and deeply emotional. Tang Su heard the rising cheers and whistles from the men below, a wave of disgust washing over her. But she needed the money. No matter how much she despised this place, she had to dance. Her sleeves fluttered lightly, and her unparalleled grace could no longer be contained. With delicate leaps and spins, her slender body moved with boneless fluidity, every motion executed flawlessly. Her lips were small and perfectly shaped. As a woman of classical beauty, this vintage attire only enhanced her extraordinary appearance with an indescribable elegance. Her jade-like wrist lifted gently. Her feet followed the rhythm of the dance, the rubies on her ankles making her skin appear even paler, smoother than snow. One couldn't help but want to cradle them, savoring their delicate beauty. Tori stared fixedly at Tang Su's waist, so slender it seemed it could be encircled by one hand, and at her feet, white and flawless like fine jade. Like every other man in the room, he held his breath, afraid to disturb a goddess from heaven. The silence in the room was too unnatural. Lu Huaizhuo remembered, the previous auctions had been filled with loud, crude banter from the men. How could such a large ballroom fall into such stillness? Could it be that the woman on stage was so hideous that these superficial men were too shocked to speak? The more he thought about it, the more convinced he became. He let out a soft, mocking snort. People these days loved paying to suffer. Right beside him was a perfect example, an idiotic foreigner shouting that he absolutely had to win a Chinese girl's first dance tonight. He'd enjoy watching Tori try to bring himself to touch such an unspeakably ugly woman. With that thought, Lu Huaizhuo glanced at Tori. Tori did look dazed, but Lu Huaizhuo quickly realized it wasn't fear. It was shock. The kind of shock that brought blood rushing to the nose. Seeing that the eternal ice mountain Lu Huaizhuo had finally turned his attention toward him, Tori grew even more excited. He grabbed Lu Huaizhuo's arm, jumping with joy. Lu, there's a poem in your country, right? Yes. Graceful as a startled swan, agile as a soaring dragon. I think I've met my Luoshun. Lu, my Luoshun is so beautiful. Following Tori's gaze, Lu Huaizhuo reluctantly glanced toward the stage. That single glance froze him in place. Not in admiration, but in fury. The woman on stage was Tang Su. Lu Huaizhuo had bought Tang Su. The first dance, anyone with a shred of sense would know that at Yangshan by Shui, they weren't auctioning just any woman's first dance. This woman actually wanted to become a rich man's concubine. She truly had no shame. Was seducing Jing Hao and Lin Yichen still not enough for her? How could such a lowly woman exist in this world? Lu, what do you think? Isn't my Luoshun absolutely stunning? Tori didn't notice Lu Huaizhuo's strange expression at all. He was still brimming with excitement. Lu, I've decided, no matter how much it costs today, I'm bidding for my Luoshun. Once I finish business in China, I'll take her home with me. I want her to be the last woman in Tori's life. Oh, my Luoshun is simply too beautiful. Her beauty can drive any man mad. As the dance ended, Tori jumped up from his seat, thrilled. The bidding had begun. The starting price was 10 million, with increments of 1 million. Before Tori could even pick up his paddle, a bald old man in the front row raised his. 20 million. Previously, bids increased by 1 or 2 million. Now, the very first bid had jumped 10 million. The atmosphere in the room grew instantly more intense. Tori whistled. Wow, my Luoshun really is irresistible. 30 million. 50 million. Afraid someone else might snatch away his Luoshun, Tori quickly grabbed his paddle. 100 million. The price shot straight to 100 million. Men with average wealth hesitated to bid further. But there were far too many wealthy men in the world. Tori's raise didn't dampen enthusiasm. In fact, it made the competition fiercer. 110 million. 120 million. 400 million. Before anyone realized it, the bid had climbed to 400 million. Tori didn't care about the money at all. He kept whistling carelessly, completely oblivious to his friend beside him, whose veins stood out violently on the back of his hand, nearly breaking through the skin. 400 million. Tori nudged Lu Huaizhuo again. Increasing by 10 million each time is so boring. Can my Luoshun really only be worth 400 million? In my heart, she's priceless. Lu, I remember when you first returned to the country, you were in love. How does that girl compare to my Luoshun? At Tori's words, Lu Huaizhuo's already pitch-black face darkened further. He didn't want to admit that the shameless woman on stage was the one he once loved deeply. Tori was brilliant intellectually, but emotionally, he was painfully clueless. He didn't notice his friend's stormy expression, nor did he sense the oppressive atmosphere around them. His eyes fixed on Tang Su, growing even more infatuated. Lu, my Luoshun must be more beautiful than the girl you loved. Because my Luoshun is the most beautiful girl in the world. 430 million. Seeing a greasy old man in the front row raise his paddle, Tori felt as if his Luoshun had been defiled. He couldn't hold back anymore. He raised his paddle high. 500 million. After Tori spoke, the noisy room fell briefly silent. 500 million, it wasn't a small sum. Even though everyone knew that winning Tang Su meant more than just her first dance, 500 million was still an exorbitant price. When Tang Su heard the voice, she couldn't help glancing toward Tori. A young, handsome foreigner. Though she didn't want to give herself to a completely unknown foreign man, she had to admit he was far better than those greasy old men. Just as Tang Su was about to turn her gaze away from Tori, she saw Lu Huaizhuo sitting beside him. Meeting Lu Huaizhuo's cold, frosty eyes, Tang Su's face instantly changed color. He had really come to Yangshan by Shui. She bit her lip hard. Her most humiliating moment would inevitably unfold before his eyes. Seeing Tang Su look his way, Tori was ecstatic. Seeing Tang Su look his way, Tori was ecstatic. He jumped from his seat, blowing kiss after kiss at her. My Luoshin! Tonight, possessing you will make me the happiest man in the world. One person's joy was incredibly lonely. Tori couldn't wait to share it with Lu Huizhua. He tightly grabbed Lu Huizhua's arm, his voice trembling with excitement. Lu, my Luoshin looked at me. She likes me too. I feel our fate is destined. We're both struck by love at first sight. Love at first sight? Lu Huizhua's icy face nearly twisted in rage. He looked up and saw Tang Su's gaze indeed seemed to rest on Tori's face. Was this woman exchanging glances with Tori? How many men did she plan to seduce? 500 million once. 500 million twice. Just as the host finished speaking, the bald, pot-bellied old man in the front row bravely raised his paddle again. Just as the host finished speaking, the bald, pot-bellied old man in the front row bravely raised his paddle again. 800 million! He immediately raised the bid to 800 million, instantly causing other hesitant men to quietly lower their paddles. The woman on stage was indeed beautiful, but producing 800 million, or even more, was beyond the reach of most men present. 800 million once. 800 million twice. 800 million 3 times. Beautiful one. The old man in front was now certain of victory. He even reached out, wanting to touch Tang Su's body. Though they were too far apart for actual contact, Tang Su could clearly hear his voice. Looking at his sausage-like lips dripping with grease, meeting his slimy, lecherous eyes, Tang Su shuddered with disgust. If she had to give herself to such a repulsive old man, she'd vomit her stomach out tonight. Yet even so, she had no other path left. Perhaps this was her fate. Fuck! Seeing this ugly old man dare to compete with him for Tang Su, Tori exploded in anger. So hideous, yet daring to covet my Luoshin? Why don't you go piss in a mirror and take a look at yourself? Tori spat fiercely, then raised his paddle high, intending to jump straight to 1 billion and crush the disgusting old man's hopes. 1 billion! Before Tori could finish speaking, a clear, cold, yet powerful voice rang out across the air. Tori whipped his head around, staring at Lu Huizhua as if he were an alien. He couldn't believe it. Lu, who seemed devoid of all human emotion, would spend money in a place like this to fight over a woman. Zwa, time can never turn back. This price has truly set a new record at auction. As soon as Lu Huizhua finished speaking, every pair of eyes in the auction hall turned sharply toward him. The older man in the front row clearly couldn't accept that the beautiful woman he was about to claim had been snatched away by someone else. Yet, the moment he saw Lu Huizhua's exquisitely chiseled, flawless face, he instantly slumped and placed his bidding paddle back onto the table. 100 million wasn't a small sum, certainly, but it wasn't unattainable for everyone. The real issue was that no one dared to cross Lu Huizhua. The young heir of the Lu Corporation, a prodigy backed by powerful families like the Lu, Gong, Ji, and Lin clans, Lu Huizhua could walk with his head held high not just in Haiqing, but across the entire nation of Hua. Whatever he wanted, who would dare to compete with him? Lu Yu, this is so underhanded. Tori was utterly stunned by Lu Huizhua's bid and took a long moment to regain his composure. Lu, your country has an old saying. A gentleman does not take what another loves. I saw Luoshin first. I was the one who wanted her. You can't steal her from me. If you consider me a brother, then withdraw. Don't take my Luoshin. Lu Huizhua turned his face coolly, his gaze calm yet suffocatingly oppressive. His thin lips curled slightly, carrying an aura of icy frost. Tori, if you want to fight, I'll fight you. Tori, if you want to fight, I'll fight you. Tori, who had been ready to protest further, instantly fell silent. He knew full well how terrifyingly brutal Lu Huizhua was in a fight. He didn't want to end up incapacitated for life. Though Tori feared Lu Huizhua's overwhelming violence, his affection for Luoshin gave him one last flicker of courage. He asked hesitantly, Lu, did you bid on Luoshin just to be hospitable, to give her to me in the end? Lu Huizhua's lips twitched upward, but without even a trace of warmth in his eyes. The smile felt nothing like kindness, only threat and coldness. You can keep dreaming. Tori pouted. Fine. In the end, he had missed his chance with his beloved Luoshin. 100 million once. 100 million twice. 100 million 3 times. Sold. Even after the auctioneer's gavel came down, Tang Su still couldn't pull herself together from the shock. She never expected Lu Huizhua to participate in the bidding. She couldn't even fathom that he, the very person, would be the one to buy her. Tang Su bit her lip hard until the thick metallic taste of blood spread between her teeth. Only then did she snap back to reality. She wouldn't flatter herself into believing he bought her because he still cared. If he truly had any feelings left for her, he wouldn't have refused so coldly when she came to him begging for money to save Xiao Shun. And he certainly wouldn't have allowed Lin Nianyan to move into Qianshui Bay, indulging in passion night after night. And he certainly wouldn't have allowed Lin Nianyan to move into Chanshui Bay, indulging in passion night after night. No, he bought her simply to crush her dignity beneath his feet. Personally, Tang Su didn't want to sell herself like merchandise to Lu Huizhua, but given the circumstances, she had no other choice. Besides, when she thought about it, it didn't really matter anymore. In his eyes, she had always been that shameless, money-driven woman who'd do anything for cash. What difference did one more act of shamelessness make? Lost in these thoughts, Tang Su was already pushed by the manager straight in front of Lu Huizhua. The manager's eyes sparkled with obvious envy as she looked at Tang Su, while gazing at Lu Huizhua with undisguised reverence and eagerness to please. Third young Master Lu, thank you for your generous bid. Tonight, Miss Tang Su's first dance belongs entirely to you. A guest room upstairs has been prepared for you. May you and Miss Tang Su enjoy a wonderful evening. After saying this, the manager shot Tang Su a meaningful glance and quickly stepped aside. Tang Su took a deep breath. Following the manager's earlier instructions, she stepped forward and Zhu Dong reached out to take Lu Huizhua's hand. Mr. Lu, please. Ah! A sudden, sharp pain shot through her wrist, making her cry out involuntarily. Lu Huizhua didn't lead her to dance. Instead, he lifted her into his arms and strode swiftly toward the guest room upstairs. Lu, we were supposed to dance first. Realizing what Lu Huizhua intended, Tang Su struggled fiercely, trying to break free from his hold. Dance! Lu Huizhua sneered, his eyes flashing with icy daggers aimed at Tang Su. Tang Su, don't play the pure and righteous woman with me. Did you come here and go through all this trouble just to dance with a man? Tang Su had no reply, because deep down, she had known from the beginning, tonight, she wouldn't just dance with the man who bought her. Seeing her fall silent, Lu Huizhua's expression darkened even further. He quickened his pace, and in moments had carried her into the upstairs room. The manager had already arranged for a contract to be placed on the desk. The moment they entered, Lu Huizhua roughly threw Tang Su onto the bed, then grabbed the contract and hurled it at her face. Sign it! The paper stung her cheek. Tang Su barely noticed the pain. With trembling hands, she picked up the document, quickly scanned its contents, and signed it, pressing her fingerprint beside her name. Every woman who sold her first dance had to sign such a contract, to become the lifelong mistress of the man who bought her, available whenever called, obedient to every demand. Every woman who sold her first dance had to sign such a contract, to become the lifelong mistress of the man who bought her, available whenever called, obedient to every demand. If she broke the contract, she would owe 10 times the auction price as penalty. Of course, if the buyer grew tired of her, he could terminate the agreement freely and discard her without consequence. After signing, Tang Su numbly placed the contract back on the desk. She found it bitterly ironic. Everyone strives to rise higher, yet she had fallen from being Lu Huizhua's rightful wife to becoming his most disgraceful hidden mistress. A lifetime as a secret lover. After he married Lin Yanyan, she'd be nothing but the scorned third wheel, the one people pointed fingers at behind her back. Fortunately, her lifetime wouldn't last much longer. She wouldn't have to degrade herself forever. Mr. Lu, I've signed, Tang Su whispered, each word costing her more strength than she had ever imagined possible. Kneel! Kneel! Tang Su froze. She never expected Lu Huizhua to suddenly demand this of her. Seeing her standing there like a statue, showing no intention of kneeling, Lu Huizhua narrowed his eyes dangerously, his face clouded with menace. What? Want to break the contract? Yes, the agreement clearly stated that the item must obey every request of the buyer. She hadn't even received the money to save Xiaoshen yet. She couldn't afford to break the terms. She couldn't afford to break the terms. Tears welled in Tang Su's eyes. She quickly turned her face away, unwilling to let Lu Huizhua see her raw, defenseless vulnerability. He thought she was dirty, cheap, only fit to kneel before him, for him to take her. Zua, do you know that the moment I kneel, all our past vows and promises will vanish into nothingness? Zua, truth is, time can never turn back, we could never return to how things were. I've always known this. I was just foolishly, pitifully clinging to that last shred of hope. Kneel! Tang Su, nothing is more disgusting than your pretending to be pure. Knees buckling, Tang Su crashed heavily onto the ground. At the moment her clothes tore apart, she felt as if her body had shattered into countless fragments, each piece piercing her heart inch by inch, bleeding profusely, drowning the last glimmer of light in her soul. This night brought unprecedented humiliation. Only when the first ray of dawn slipped through the curtains did Lu Huizhua finally let her go. He got out of bed, putting on his black, hand-tailored high-end suit. Standing tall and straight like a graceful bamboo or a distant pine tree, he seemed to look down upon the world with unmatched nobility and pride. But she was curled up on the bed in utter disarray, like an ant trampled underfoot. No matter how desperately she struggled, one stomp from someone else would crush her beyond recovery. Just as Lu Huizhua was about to leave, he glanced down and suddenly noticed the striking splash of red on the bedsheets. Seeing that crimson stain, fury instantly flared in his elegant yet now vicious features. He strode forward and nearly savagely grabbed Tang Su by the throat. "Tang Su, you're truly impressive. Tang Su, you're truly impressive. Repairing that membrane? Do you really enjoy playing innocent in front of men? Tang Su, just how low can you stoop to seduce a man?" Exhausted, Tang Su closed her eyes. She didn't try to explain herself, because everything Lu Huizhua said was true. Yesterday, she really had undergone surgery. That minor procedure was done solely to meet the eligibility requirements for auctioning off her first dance, to appear pure in front of men. "Speak! Mr. Lu, what exactly do you want me to say?" Tang Su slowly opened her eyes. Those once brilliantly radiant pupils now held only desolation. "Do you want me to tell you which hospital I went to yesterday? That I had the surgery, so the man who bought me would think I was a virgin? Mr. Lu, there's nothing left for us to talk about. You're right, I'll do anything, no matter how degrading, for money." "Tang Su!" Lu Huizhua abruptly tightened his grip, nearly crushing her neck. Though Tang Su struggled to breathe, having endured such pain countless times before, she could barely feel it anymore. A bitter smile tugged at her lips, her eyes filled with heavy, self-mocking despair. "Mr. Lu, don't forget to transfer the money to Yang Chunbeikshu, quickly. I'm still waiting for my share." Hearing her mention money again and again, Lu Huizhua gritted his teeth in hatred. He stared at Tang Su fiercely, his bloodshot eyes as if ready to drown the world in blood. Suddenly, he moved his lips. "Tang Su, on your 18th birthday, you had it repaired too, didn't you? I actually thought you were genuinely pure back then. But it turns out, you were always just faking it." Tang Su's already pale face turned as white as paper. Overwhelmed by intense humiliation, her lips trembled uncontrollably. She never expected him to suspect her like this. On her 18th birthday, she had joyfully given him her untouched body. It was that very night she conceived Xiao Shen. She believed she and the man she loved most would stay together for life, bound by love and fate. She never imagined that such sincere, passionate love would be seen by him as mere pretense. Before she could even begin to process the soul-crushing pain, she heard Lu Huizhua's cold, emotionless voice once more. "Tang Su, the most disgusting thing I've ever done in my life was sleeping with you. Tang Su, the most disgusting thing I've ever done in my life was sleeping with you." Lu Huizhua had already released her throat and left the room without looking back. Yet Tang Su still couldn't breathe. "Azhua, how did I become so repulsive to you?" "But Azhua, no matter how much I disgust you, loving you has been the warmest comfort in my entire life. From now on, though, I won't love you anymore because I care too deeply to keep making you sick." Curled up in the corner, Tang Su tightly hugged herself. She didn't know whether it was from pain or cold, but her body kept trembling uncontrollably, no matter what she did. Just endure a little longer. Just endure a little longer. Tang Su kept telling herself. Endure a little longer, and she'd get the money, rescue Xiao Shen from the kidnappers. Endure a little longer, and she could accompany Xiao Shen through surgery. After that, she would vanish from this mundane world. May her Xiao Shen live healthily, safely, and smoothly forever. Her eyelids kept drooping repeatedly, but driven by sheer willpower, she refused to collapse in this cold, bleak morning. She picked up her torn clothes scattered on the floor, shredded beyond wear. Fortunately, there was a brand new spare set of casual clothes in the room. Not perfectly fitting, but enough to cover the unspeakable shame. After dressing and tidying herself up briefly, Tang Su found a large sum had already been transferred to her bank account. 10 million yuan. Lu Huizhua had spent 100 million bidding for her first dance, but she only received 10%. Lu Huizhua had spent 100 million bidding for her first dance, but she only received 10%.